This is about my third try doing this video because I'm trying to formulate my thoughts into a cohesive train of thought, but I'm realizing with each record, it becomes more and more difficult because it evolves bigger and bigger. But I realized today that everything comes to an end, and it's the ending that makes everything prior to it so special and so powerful. One day, I will hit record and hit stop for the last time. For whatever reason. That could be today, that could be tomorrow, it doesn't matter. But when that happens, everything prior to that will become immortalized, and it will become that much more special because there is an end to it, right? Every bird will be on the ground and never leave it ever again. And that's what makes flight so special. So having said that, I've been thinking a lot today about a specific song off the La La Land soundtrack. But that song actually happens 3 times throughout the soundtrack, throughout the movie. And if you haven't seen La La Land, I suggest you stop watching this and you go watch that, because I will spoil the ending. I'm not gonna give a full plot analysis, but I will be telling you how it ends. And in the movie, that song pops up in different contexts. And what's so wonderful and just puts a knot in my throat when I think about it is the fact that every time it happens, it's just so different, but it's the same. What I mean by that is the first time Ryan Gosling sings it, he's some jazz musician, obsessed, tunnel vision, jazz is life. And that's kind of the whole, character development of him as he meets this girl, and suddenly he's like, oh, there's things other than the piano that exist. And what happens is the first time he sings City of Stars, he says, City of Stars, are you shining just for me? And it's him walking alone, the piano's going, and it's kind of like he's singing to the air in Los Angeles. And it's just him by himself. It's like he's holding this golden goose egg of a song idea to himself, and it's kind of like his love letter to, I guess, the city. And this is like my love letter to the song. The second time he sings it though, and keep in mind, throughout the movie, whenever he sits at a piano, he'll sometimes just play the melody, like the second time is with him and Emma Stone, and it's different. Not because the melody itself is different, but because the way he starts it is City of Stars. I felt it from the first embrace. It's like he's going back to the same air he was speaking to tell it about Emma Stone at that point. Their names are Sebastian and Mia. I feel like I should start talking about them by their character names. It's just so beautiful and powerful to me, the way that you take something and you think the first time you hear it, that's just the song City of Stars. Oh, this is the song from La La Land that everyone talks about. But it's actually not even the complete version. It's complete when it's him and Emma Stone, and you don't realize that the first time was just a teaser of what you're gonna hear later, and you don't realize that, and it's just so good. And they sing together on that one, and the song develops, and it's longer, and there's different melodies, and there's different structure to it, because it's bringing 2 people together, and it's so beautiful, like so magical. And the third time, spoiler alert, they don't end up together. It's just Emma Stone, Mia, and she's humming it, but she's humming not just the melody, but the version the 2 of them sang together. And so obviously she's reminiscing on the 2 of them and how he still lives on in her, and like the time they shared together, and it's being presented by her, like remembering the song. And it's the ending being so painful and it coming to a close that makes everything prior to it so special. It's the fact that it ended. That song is just one of the most wonderful pieces of music I've ever heard in my life, and I heard it in the right context because I watched it in the movie. I thought, well, this is great, wow. It wasn't until I was driving by myself and it came on and the sky was pink because the sun was setting that I felt like this was a soundtrack to the moment I was living in, and I burst into tears. I just thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world. And then I listened to the La La Land soundtrack every day since then. I listen to it when I'm exercising, I listen to it on the way to get coffee, and all 3 versions fit into a different part of the day perfectly. It's one of those things where I believe that when that song was written, that they made 3 versions of it and thought, oh my God, how do we put a movie around this rather than the other way around? I don't know if that's how it happened, but I believe it because it's so wonderful that they were able to make something, the beginning, the full version, and the reminiscing of it. I lose words when I try to explain how that makes me feel. I'm at a loss for words, is what I mean. See? Point proven. But it's just the most wonderful thing. And I implore you, if you haven't heard it, first of all, watch the movie because it'll make so much more sense. But if not, La La Land soundtrack, City of Stars with both of them. And then City of Stars says humming in brackets because it's her just humming it back. And I'm going to be thinking about that all day, because if it was a happy ending and it was just her humming and reminiscing, being like, oh, like when we were like younger, when we first met, it does not have nearly the same impact as because it ended and she still remembers him, and that's why she's humming the song, or she still thinks about him rather. And that's just what's made me think about this, is one day I will stop doing what I do, no matter what. Everything comes to an end. That doesn't mean I'll stop being that person, but all stories at some point in time do come to an end. That La La Land soundtrack, man. Oh my God, that song, City of Stars. And I don't know if any of this made sense. I don't know if this is one of those things where it makes so much sense up here, and when I try to bring it out, someone listening would still say, I feel like I'm missing half the story. And if that's the case, then that's the case. This is more of just, I'd rather document how I felt this morning rather than make something where I have to write it down and have a cohesive narrative to my thought pattern, because maybe that'd make for a better YouTube video, but I don't think it would make for a better timestamp in my life. And that's what's important. I don't know how to end this, so I guess I just will.